What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 8 of Pixel Beast. I'm your host, Jake, and with me I've got who have I have? I have the biggest traitor of the UNSC, Mr. Covenant Covert Ops himself, Alex. What's up, man?
I'm great. It's crazy that we've already done 8 of these. It's like, if you were to ask me before we started recording how many have we've done, I would have been like, this is like maybe 5.
They're going by quick.
Yeah, they're fun.
Especially
but at the same time, it feels like we've done 1,000 of these just because it's like, this is just how we talk to each other every day. So
yeah, the only difference between this and literally any other night.
Me out and call me a bitch.
Well, okay, that's true. Anyway,
that's the only difference.
That's the only difference. Okay, I'm not such an asshole.
You censor yourself for your fans.
Yeah, I censor myself for my fan. But I appreciate you, assuming that there's multiple. That makes me happy.
Hey, I looked at there were some views on that last one. I watched the whole damn thing today, the last episode.
Oh, 7?
Yeah, it was fun.
7 was a fun one. That was a fun one getting back into it.
I was unraveled. I mean, it had been a few days since we did it, and I was in it, dude. I was like, what are they going to talk about next?
I kind of enjoyed the I went back and listened to the other ones a little bit, and I do like the other ones, but coming back from break and just having a much more loose podcast has been really fun, and I actually really enjoyed listening to 7.
Right. Yeah, I was like, it sounded good and it felt good. So, and you know what's awesome is we have not discussed at all what we're even talking about today. I have no idea. That's how I know it's going to be probably pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying that now. Like I know before I would give you a little bit of an idea what we were talking about. I bet if we had like an actual topic, I might do that. But on these ones for now, when there's no big news or anything, I mean, just go into it free balling. You know what I mean?
Word. So what are we free balling tonight?
You know what? That's interesting. I really want to hear the story of the Pelican.
Okay.
But it's good.
Talking about at the beginning.
So I want to hold off on it just for a little bit because I want to talk about some other things first. Because last week we need to continue our conversation a little bit. We were going to talk about War of Rights.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. We've played it. I mean, we've played it like twice or just that once?
Twice, I think.
Okay, and we've played it twice for like hour-long, like a few hour sessions each time, and it's so much fun, and we still haven't recorded it, and it's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Because I want to record that game so bad.
Dude, I was thinking about this today because I was like, man, I want to make sure we talk about War of Rights for a little bit at least, because man, I keep thinking about Zach's Colonel Ingus.
God damn it, Colonel Ingus!
The fact that he was like, the fact that he was able to be, I think, was it Colonel is what the highest rank is that you can control multiple
let's discuss
companies?
What the game is first.
Okay.
Lay that out. Make the bed for us.
So essentially, it's like a virtual version of a Civil War reenactment. And that's the best. I mean, that's literally what it is. It's a virtual Civil War reenactment.
Civil War reenactment.
Hundreds of players, yeah. And the cool thing is that most games that you go into, like, there is some level of role play into it. Like we had a couple servers where people were kind of role playing, but they weren't really listening to their COs or anything. But then we had a couple that were super fun, and like everyone was listening to their COs, and we were like forming lines and shooting at the same time and like listening to orders and stuff, and that was also really fun too. But essentially that's what it is. It's an online virtual Civil War reenactment.
And by far the thing that makes it work the most for me is the amount of enthusiasm and how much role playing goes into the people that are playing the officers.
Oh God.
I told you guys this before we played together for the first time. I just wanted to hop in and get a sense of like how easy it was to find a server before we all hopped on and get a little bit of an idea of how it controlled. And I hopped into a game, and immediately I spawn in the deployment with 100 other guys, and I don't even remember which side we were fighting for, but the CO comes up. He's like, "You sons of bitches, you all get in lines." And I run up and I get in line, and he's like, "Everyone load." And I guess which one, I mean, R's reload in a ton of games, and it worked. And when they mean reload, they mean it's like a 45-second reload animation.
Yeah,
And then he's like, "Fix bayonets." And I was like, "I don't know how to fix my bayonet, sir." And he's like, "The fuck did you say to me, boy?" And I'm like, "I don't know how." And he's like, "God damn it, Greenhorn." And I loved it. I loved it. I left after that because I was like, I don't want to experience this game anymore until I'm getting yelled at with my friends. And
oh
like you
man,
said, when we got into a role-playing game where people were really role-playing, those CEOs are
yeah,
yelling, "Get in lines, everyone ready, aim, fire." And it's just chaos.
dude.
Chaos. And it's
My
beautiful,
CO,
amazing,
my
unorganized
CO
chaos.
was using volley. He wasn't even using fire. That's how much he was,
Volley!
dude. That's how much he was into it. He was, he was ready to stand, or he go raise, aim, volley, and everyone would shoot. I'm like, dude,
And it's just
that's legit.
dude, and it was just like, and you couldn't see anything through like 100 rifles gun smoke. You
All
were
the
mostly
yeah,
because every so often you'd catch a glimpse of because the fun part is kind of like the Bigfoot game. There's a lot of waiting. You're just kind of hanging
yeah.
around with 80 dudes, like anticipating the fight, and then you look over the hill and 100 of Confederates come running over the hill, and it's like, "All right, men,
Dude,
ready, aim, volley," and then you just see and there's no like hit markers like Call of Duty. You don't know if you got anybody, but you
no,
just
I don't
see
know if I killed
dozens
anyone or
of them
not.
fall down dead, and it's crazy, but it's great. I loved it. It was so
One of
much
my
fun and chaotic. And then
one of my favorite moments was going into the first time because one, I came in after because my game wasn't fully loaded and you guys didn't tell me that I had to load my gun at first. So I immediately start running into battle trying to find you guys. And as soon as I come out of the clearing, it was that one with like the crop fields and the cornfield, and then
corn,
you spawn in the
corn,
the corn boys. But you spawn in the woods and you come out of the clearing. As
right?
soon as I came over the clearing over the hill, I was like my jaw dropped because it was like 100 plus Union soldiers running over running over the hill towards us. I'm like, oh god, this is gonna be freaking wild. And then I finally get into the battle and there's some guy in front of me. He doesn't see me yet. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I pull up my gun to aim and I fire, nothing happens. And I'm like, what's going on? And my guy looks down at his gun and he like like I guess because I didn't load it. So I'm like, oh man, what's the load button? I hit R and my guy automatically stops and he just sits there for a good 2.5 hours trying to load his gun. And about that time, the guy finally looks over at me and he charges me with his bayonet and stabs me to death. And that was my first experience. Well, what the fuck is
Yep.
this?
It is genuine. I think one of the things I love about it is like you said, it takes so long to load your gun, and it's great. It's like it's so tense, but it's great. And like you can like crouch and get down on one knee and load so that you're lower to the ground. But they have like things in place to where it's like it forces you, not forces you, but it encourages you to listen to your COs, because if you're like, "I'm gonna go lone wolf Call of Duty style," and you run off alone and you get killed, it like hurts your team really bad. Like it takes multiple tickets away from your team.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're standing in lines and you die, it doesn't hurt your team nearly
I
as bad.
watched a video too that they create buffs when you're actually in line and you're firing at the same time and you're
Yeah,
like those. So when you're a CO and you can put those volley lines on the ground,
yeah,
is if you're in the line and you're so essentially if you're following your CO's orders, you get buffs like like it's like steadier aim, quicker reload, stuff like that. I was watching a video on it and they
that's
were
so
kind of
cool.
saying, yeah, it like they encourage team play because you get extra crazy good buffs if you actually play as a team as
And it
opposed
makes
to
the game so much
yeah,
better when people are actually playing by the rules. And like I said, I found out at one point we're on a line, probably like 80 of us standing in a line, and we knew the Confederates were coming over the hill, and they were running like right at us, and we would just stand up and, ready, aim, fire, and we'd all shoot. And I'd immediately crouch down behind this stone wall and start reloading. And I'm looking at my gun reloading, and then you just hear 100 gunshots, and you just hear the bullets hitting your cover, and you look up, and your guy right next to you just gets blasted in the face, and it's
those
just
first couple matches, I straight up didn't know that you could crouch and reload.
Yeah,
I'm
me
sitting there
either.
I'll be shooting over the stone wall, and I'm just standing up there loading, hope I don't die.
You're taking my
like the whole line of Union soldiers are looking at me, and I'm like, hey, hold on a second. Give me a minute. I'm loading my gun. Just hold on. I'll be ready. Just give me 2 years. I'll be good.
And another crazy part that's inevitable is whenever one side begins to break, and then you get the CO yelling at everybody, because it's so cool the way it works. If you put a bayonet on your gun, you have a way more deadly melee. But if you have a bayonet on the end of your gun and you're aiming, it makes your gun really inaccurate. So it encourages you, if you're going to be firing in lines, to not have your bayonet on. And so whenever you're in a big fight like that, and you start to break the other team, your CO will yell, "Fix bayonets!" And that means that you're probably getting ready to take part in a bayonet charge. And that's just another brand of chaos. And especially if you can catch the other team with their pants down, they don't have their bayonets on, and they just flip their guns upside down and start holding them by the barrels and swinging them like clubs, and you just ban. It's crazy.
Dude,
it's completely unorganized chaos, and I love
that
it.
That one match where we ended up being on different sides. I was on the Confederate side. You guys were on the Union,
right?
With Zach, your brother, and Ethan. And
yeah,
that when you guys, there was a point where we were behind a stone wall behind a barn, and you guys were kind of you remember that part?
Yeah, I know
out
exactly what you're talking about. You were off to our east just a little bit,
you
and we
guys
were on
caught
a
us
fence
off
line,
guard
a
for a
big
second because
90 fence line.
you guys started charging us as we started approaching the barn to move up on you, and then all of a sudden your entire team ran towards the barn, and our CO was he's like, get ready for a fight, because he's like, get ready for a fight because they're coming. And yeah, you guys stormed it and almost got us for a second, but we had one company that went to the barn, and we had the one stay back, so I think we ended up taking it in the end.
Yeah,
But
most
yeah,
of
that was
that battle, I
intense.
remember we didn't take the barn, but we went back to that fence line. We had a weird 90-degree fence line where
Yeah,
that we would get covered on both sides, and you guys were hitting us from both the left and the right. But we just had two long volley lines, and
your CO put you guys in an unfortunate spot because you really didn't have a whole lot of cover with
oh
that.
no, yeah,
With
we
that
had
barn.
jack shit for cover, but right there at the corner of the fence was stone. It wasn't just wood picket fence, and so
Oh,
that I made sure to get there myself. So I survived for long, long periods of time just because I wasn't gonna stand out in the open behind a picket fence if I didn't have to. So
yeah,
yeah,
but the game before that was the crazy one where everyone was kind of lightly role playing, but Zach was able to get a
oh yeah,
CO.
Colonel Ingus. Let's circle back around.
Colonel
Our
Ingus,
brand
baby.
new. None of us had ever played. That's very important. And you can only have two
Yeah,
officers per team that give orders. And officers are very important, and they need to be veterans. And our brand new friend who's never played the game before snagged an officer.
snagged an
Now continue.
officer, and for some reason took half the team to defend a house that was right next to spawn.
Let us
and
led them
that's
all to their deaths.
and that's
His
all
name
he
was
did
Colonel Ingus.
was go to this house, and everyone followed, and they're like, no, stop following. They're in the chat, they were like, Colonel Ingus, get away from the house because everyone is following you. He'd get in chat, he'd be like, no, we're defending the house.
And we'd
Dude,
all defend him too, as different people. Be like,
oh
Colonel
god,
Ingus knows how to get shit done. I'll follow him
exactly.
again.
And people were actually starting to join in, hey, lay off Colonel Ingus, he's doing his best.
Yeah, yeah. It was,
But
Colonel Ingus being
my
off the
favorite
next
part of
game.
that
It
was
was so
it
funny.
was it was probably 3/4 of the way through the match, and one of the other officers was just getting completely fed up with Zach, and I just died, and I was just spawning in, and I was reloading my gun, and everyone was kind of grouping up on this guy, and this guy in public chat, he's like, okay, boys, I'm gonna get a group of you. we're gonna go after Colonel Ingus and kill him because he is ruining that. We will lose if we continue to defend that house. So when we get to Colonel Ingus, he's the one holding the flag. Kill him. And I'm like, oh my god! And that's why I immediately went to party chat. And I'm like, Zach, get ready. They're coming for you. He's like, I know, I see him. I'm like, no, we're coming for you. The other officer is coming for you. You're getting hit on both sides.
It's a coup.
And then like the game after that, we ended up getting creamed by the other team because no one would follow orders.
Yeah,
and we kept jumping in chat because the fight ended up circulating around this one house in the middle of nowhere, and we kept losing the fight, and the CO was getting really mad. I remember that he was like taking it super serious, but nobody else was, and we started spamming chat. Man, if only Colonel Ingus was here, we'd have that house already.
Yep. It was like, yeah, Colonel Ingus knew how to get shit done. Yeah.
Oh god.
But in all honesty, he was just leading us into bloodbath after bloodbath with no chance of victory. I think by the end of that match, we did take that house, but we got obliterated. We lost the match.
Like I told everyone that was around me, we took the house. I could care less if we win. Like we won the house. That's all that was my goal. Exactly. I mean, we were just a bunch of New Yorkers. How did we end up on the South? I mean, come on. We were the Corn Cob Club.
Yeah.
We just
ran out into the corn as a splinter group. We seceded from the Confederacy and decided we were going to just live in the cornfields and fight the Union via the corn. And yeah,
dude, Zach was doing a spot on, I might say, a spot on Woody Allen impression. And I want to do it so bad. I can't do it the way he just was perfect. He's like, I'm just a conscientious objector. We're just a bunch of corn cob. We're part of the Corn Cob Club. We don't want to fight.
Oh my god,
I was in tears when I was like, dude, that was perfect. I've never heard him do it before.
But probably one of the funniest things about fighting from the corn is that we were nowhere near the point of contention, so we would actually see just how epic the battles were from a distance because we could see the two sides fighting, and we'd just be like, we're literally not going to make a dent in them. but yeah, War of Rights. If you haven't tried it, try it. It's fun. Bring friends.
When are we getting back into this? When are we streaming this?
Dude, I'll do it whenever, dude. We do have we want to get Colonel Ingus and everyone back, but they're
when are they getting back? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't asked. They're in the Rockies.
We're gonna force them to play as soon as they get back.
Yep.
Like, hey, drop everything that you're doing. Tell Ethan, say, hey, look,
unpack.
I don't care that Autumn's pregnant. You're gonna get on.
Oh man!
You're gonna get on, and you're gonna fight, and you're gonna keep fighting until we tell you to not fight.
Oh, I know I already told you this, but The Mandalorian has the cutest little Baby Yoda figures that they've been releasing, and like these plush dolls that look amazing.
Yeah,
and they're like $30, and I snagged one at my Walmart for $12 because they put it on clearance because we live in a small town and nothing sells, so they put everything on clearance. And it's sitting on my desk looking at me, and it's the most adorable thing I've ever seen.
Did you get a second one for upstairs, or did you just tell Shelby?
No, we have joint custody. We move it back and forth. I literally, as I came down here, I had him in my arm, and I put him on my desk. He's looking me in the eye. But
you'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Yep. Yeah. Whenever I picked him up from Walmart, I went out to my car, put my groceries away, and one of the kids I went to high school with was at work, and he's in the parking lot, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" I was like, "Oh, not much, man. I'm got this Yoda in my arms, and
just this toy Yoda, no big deal."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, what you got there?" I'm like, "A hell of a deal is what I got here, man." And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool." And I was like, "Yeah." And then I was gonna just throw it in the car and end the conversation, but I was like, I don't know why I told him, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this guy in the car seat and send a picture to my wife because that's how I'm gonna tell her. I was like, "Shelby, I'm with child." She's like, "What are you talking about? Both the kids are at home." And I was like, "No, you don't understand." And I sent her the photo.
I'm with the child.
The child.
The child.
Mm-hmm. And
Dude, I'm actually excited for. I saw it on Amazon that it was a pre-order, but
Black Series.
The Black Series Mando's figures are coming out at the end of the year, but they have Black Series child figures too. They're
Really?
like $10. It's a baby Yoda, and he's got the frog that he eats, and he's got the like the knob that he plays with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, end of
Yeah,
the
dude,
year.
I want that Mandalorian just so I could hang it on the wall.
I'm excited to get Mando. Those are the ones I really want at the end of the year. Is
Mhm.
Mando? I'm debating whether I want like pre armor Mando or like bounty hunter
Dude,
Mando. You know what I
I
mean?
don't
Like
really
the
care. I mean, if I could, I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to
yeah.
figure that out. Dude, have you seen the lines for the new Halo Infinite toys?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Dude,
Dude,
they
I've been trying to stay away from Infinite news as much as I can. One because I want to go into. Is it the 23rd?
yeah,
Right. I
next
want to go.
week from tonight.
Yeah, I want to go into it as in the dark as possible, and then once I see that, I don't want to hear anything else about it. Like
Well, the
I
toy
haven't been
lines,
actively seeking stuff.
the toy lines did spoil a couple things.
Mhm.
Like really the big one was that they showed a brute in a like a it was like what the mega constructs, they're like Legos. They
Yeah.
showed a brute in red armor that looked like banished months and months and months ago, and I was
Oh,
like, dude, I hope that's banished. And then of course they released that trailer a couple weeks
which
ago that confirmed that the Banisher in Halo Infinite. So I
yeah.
was like, hell yeah, that's really pretty much all they've shown. Um,
Y
they did have one brute. I mean, they came out and 343 came out and said this isn't spoilery at all. But they had one brute that one of his shoulder pads was Locke's helmet, and I was like,
Really? Wait,
yeah.
how is that not spoilery?
They said that it's not. I don't. They didn't necessarily say it wasn't canon, but they said it had nothing to do with Halo Infinite because, of course, the internet exploded when that Lego set came was shown, and so 343 actually came out and they're like, "Hey guys, this isn't. That has nothing to do with Halo Infinite." As
That makes no sense to me.
I don't even. I don't know. I mean,
I
I honestly
maybe
wouldn't
they're
be sad at
maybe they're
all
trying to
if Halo Infinite
deflect.
just starts with Spartan Locke getting decapitated by some brute.
I mean, then again, they did have the teaser of Halo 4 where Chief is scouring the desert in this giant tunic,
Yeah.
and you never see that fucking scene.
Yep. Yep.
God,
I
dude,
know.
I watched your videos, you know, the history of the Marines, brutes, and
Oh yeah.
elites. And first, I'll say, fantastic videos. I enjoyed
Thank
them a
you.
lot.
They take
Second,
so long to make, dude. I'm gonna
second,
cough. Hold on. I'm back.
you
It's just
completely.
the Rona.
I don't know if you were intentionally doing it or not, but you completely ripped on Halo 4 every single video.
And
Like,
everyone?
yeah, like at the end of the last one, I'm like,
I know the
dang,
Marines did.
gee. The Marines
Well,
thing in
I didn't
5
rip on the
really
brute.
got you too.
The brutes
That
weren't in Halo 4. That's another reason why Halo 4 sucks.
yeah, Halo 4 and 5 you really dogged on. I think 4 more than 5 cuz 5 I only noticed you dogged on them quite a bit
In the Marines?
with the Marines cuz
Yeah.
and I never realized that. But there's
Yeah.
no Marines in the campaign, which is stupid.
Yep.
But
I
you also
the
didn't like
only
the look of the elites, like the updated elites in 4 and 5.
yeah. Did you say you did like them or did not like them?
No, you said if I remember right, you said you didn't.
Oh yeah, I don't. I was like, you come out right now and say that you do like them. I'll be like, all right, that's cool. You're wrong, but
I like the direction they were trying to go for. They were trying to make weren't they trying to like their whole idea was to make them more monsterish.
yeah, they did that with Reach. I feel like they look like what they did. Like, and I talked about that in the Elite video. Like, they made some design decisions. I love a lot of the Elites in Halo Reach, but they made some design decisions that I just don't like. Like the idea that they removed the pupil from the Elite's eyes and just made them have jet black eyes like a shark. I thought was
Mhm.
really dumb because I feel like if you don't have an eye line with something, they lose that higher intellect that the elites are supposed to have. The Arbiter is one of my favorite characters in all of Halo, and it just that kind of ruins them for me. Though Halo Reach
Well,
has a lot of cool armor designs, but Halo 4 and 5, they just changed their anatomy and like in a way I don't
yeah.
like. and
I like the idea that they were trying to go for, but I agree. I mean, out of the series, those are definitely my least favorite portrayed.
oh yeah,
Um, I mean, ideally, Infinite. I would like to see. I mean, I like the idea of them trying to make them more intimidating and monsterish,
right.
but I kind of like the more classic look,
Yeah, I
though.
feel like you can blend the two pretty well. I think the uh the ideas that they had with Reach were cool because I mean, like, yeah, they made them more monsterish in Halo Reach by removing the pupil. They made it to where they couldn't speak English anymore, similar to Halo Combat Evolved, which
They're
I thought
much
that was
larger.
a say that again. Oh yeah, they're larger too,
Yeah,
and I love that in Invasion they actually are larger than the Spartans as well, which is a really cool touch. But maybe because it's a prequel and it's set like earlier in the Covenant War, that maybe that's just how the UNSCs perceive the Covenant, as more monsterish and alienish. I don't know. That's just kind of what I told myself back in the day. But in the end, dude, like it's not like the designs of the elites in Halo 4 and 5 are god awful and they're bad, because I mean those games have way bigger problems than the designs of any of their stuff. But it just goes to show that
yeah.
everything that they changed with those games, I'm not a fan of. I can't hardly think of a single change that they made that I thought was for the better. And so
I
that's why I'm hoping Halo Infinite just is a return to form. Look
I'm
at what the
pretty
previous games
confident.
did
I
well.
mean, just from that just from that teaser video, I'm pretty confident it kind of seems like they're going
Yeah,
back to basics a little bit.
yeah.
So that I'm pretty that's why I'm confident that the look of the elites, or just enemies in general, I think are going to be more promising
Oh yeah, we
for
already kind of
sure.
know that
I
from
mean,
the toy
especially
line.
I mean, just
Actually, they
look at
showed us what
Master
the
Chief.
elites look like with the toy line,
I
and
mean, just look at Master Chief. Like
yeah,
I
dude.
mean, he looks back like he almost
Halo
looks like a
3.
cross between like Halo 3 and like Halo Wars, like
That's
some of the
actually really
cutscenes I've
I,
seen.
I was gonna say across with the bulk of Halo Combat Evolved, but the style of 3. But Halo Wars, they're really bulky. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it. But yeah, I say this all the time. I know you've heard me say this a lot, but I bitch and moan about Halo because I love Halo.
Yeah.
It's literally one of my favorite, if not my favorite gaming franchise ever. It's probably had the most influence on me of any gaming franchise I've ever played. I've always kind of thought, like, if I'm gonna be able to bitch and moan and cry about everything that I don't like about the newer Halos, Halo 4 and 5, then I lose all credibility if I don't give 343 credit for the things they do right. And
Yeah.
so people are like, "Oh, Halo Infinite's gonna be so bad. Look at Halo 4. Look at Halo 5. 343 can't make Halo. Blah blah blah." And it's like, you know what? Like I said, I bitch and moan about everything I don't like about 4 and 5. I have no reason yet to think Halo 5 or Halo Infinite is going to be bad, because all they've shown us so far is that they're listening to their community. They're going back to the retro art style that we know and love. I mean, dude, for God's sakes, they played the Halo 3 score in the announcement trailer. It's like, dude, they
I
know.
mean, you're bringing up the point that's the perfect point, and that's kind of what the direction I was going towards as well. Like they're not ignoring their fan base, and they're not doing their own thing. Like I know, like they took what they learned from 4, and they did a lot of really positive things in 5. Like the multiplayer in
Oh yeah,
4, in my
is the
opinion, was
worst
trash.
Halo multiplayer ever.
But
Period.
they like 5, although it is incredibly different from any Halo we've ever seen, it is such a leap forward from 4. Like they're taking notes, they're listening to the community, they're listening to what they want. And I have no doubt that 5 is or Infinite's going to deliver. But
I
you
I
know it
we're gonna find out in a week, man. At least
yeah.
my biggest fears are that they're gonna make it. And I mean, I was actually weird. I actually didn't think of this at all until I was actually chatting with Ethan one night, and he's like, "Dude, there are rumors going around that it's going to be a shared world similar to Destiny." And I was like, "Oh God, please don't do this to me. Please don't trade off a traditional Halo campaign for a shared multiplayer experience like Destiny." And then I got to thinking about how the rec system worked in Halo 5 and how you had all these different variations of assault rifles and battle rifles. And I'm like, dude, they could do it. They could try that. I
Yeah.
don't want that, but I could
I
see
mean,
them
that's kind of
doing.
what they did with Reach, if you think about it.
What do
I
you mean?
mean, the story with Reach was you were your own custom Spartan.
Oh no, that's not the problem. I mean, obviously, I want to play as Master Chief, but I don't want a. I don't care. Like, I mean, I kind of it's double ended. I want to play as Master Chief in Halo Reach. It made sense to play as your own Spartan, but I don't want my single player campaign to be a shared multiplayer experience.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Halo Reach, that worked fine for that story because like Reach says, from the very beginning, the end, which means when you start the game, everyone's dead, and that's great. That works for that really desperate story. But Halo Infinite, it's like, come on, I want Chief back. I miss my Chief. I
Yeah.
feel like we haven't had a like master, because I mean we talked about this before too. Halo 4, I think that campaign is the worst campaign in all the Halo games. Halo 4's is, as far as gameplay, but its storytelling is really good. Like the way they tell the story in the cinematics is
Yeah.
really good. And so I actually don't have a problem with Halo 4's actual story. I just can't stand the gameplay of those missions. I can't think, besides like the opening mission of that game, I can't think of a fun mission to play in Halo 4. But I love its storytelling. And whereas I just got a text and it completely threw me off. But threw me off what I was saying. But yeah, but one of the things with Halo 4's campaign that I didn't like, I liked the storytelling, but I didn't really like what they did with Master Chief, because Master Chief, and really what I'm just getting into is why I feel like I'm ready to have my Master Chief back, which is, the Master Chief from the original trilogy, because Master Chief was always me. I'm Master Chief. You're Master Chief. The Master Chief is a vessel for the player. He is a man
Yeah.
of very, very few words. And when he does speak, it's like a home run. I need a weapon. Your pal, where's he going? Giving the Covenant back their bomb. It's like, it's great. It's great, great stuff. And then in Halo 4, instead of it being, a man of few words and being a vessel for me, the player, and being like Master Chief is me, instead 343 went the route of being like, no, you're not Master Chief. This is Master Chief. And Master Chief would not shut up. He's
Yeah.
talking the entire time about stuff that, they want you to care about for the story. Instead of him being a vessel for the player, it's like, we're not letting you play Master Chief. We're showing you Master Chief instead. And I hope that this is going to be a return to form in really every imaginable way possible for Halo Infinite. They need to quit trying to become not Halo and just be Halo. And that's
Yeah.
what we all want. And that's
I
what
mean, that's what people want. I mean, that's what's gonna bring them back to the good graces of the community, is just giving them what they want. Like, people want Chief, so give them Chief. People want Halo, just give them Halo. Give them what they love. I mean, if the Master Chief Collection is any sign of what people want,
it's
like,
classic Halo.
is classic Halo. Bring back classic Halo. But
Yeah.
it's you were saying something. You bitch about it because you're passionate about it. I totally get that. And I think everyone has that one thing that they're extremely passionate about, but you're also going to be extremely critical. And for me, Halo's up there for sure. And the Halo's definitely one of my all-time. I grew up on it. Like
Right.
of course, but I'm the same way about Fallout.
Right.
Like I'm passionate about Fallout. I love the lore. I love all the games. For all different reasons. But I'm extremely critical of them too, and I will call them out on their bullshit. Like,
Right.
especially with Fallout 76. Like, 76 does a lot of really good things, and the past year in particular, they've made a lot of strides to make that game better. But on the flip side, they still do a lot of poor stuff and make a lot of poor decisions with that game that hurt it. And it sucks because I love the franchise so much, and I do love 76. It's just they're not doing what I feel they should do for a Fallout game, which
Right.
sucks. But no, I get it. Like I'm super passionate for it, but that's why I'm so critical about it too, is
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm so passionate about that
There's a
franchise. But
saying with like people with fandoms, like, and I'll just use it for Halo because that's where I'm at. Is nobody hates Halo more than Halo fans, and I feel like that's the same with every
yeah,
with Fallout or anything else. Like nobody hates it more than the people
I
that
mean
love.
Star Wars,
Yeah,
Star Wars
nobody
fans.
hates Star Wars more
That's
than
where the
Star Wars fans.
that's where that started. That's where fandom started, was with Star Wars. The people that hate the Star Wars movies the most are the Star Wars fans.
Oh, for
I
sure.
but I will say though, Star Wars is a weird thing for me because I don't hate any of the movies. I love all the movies. Will I watch some more than others? Yes, but I don't hate any of them. And I feel like I'm such a weird outlier when it comes to Star Wars fans. And if I ever post anything on a Star Wars subreddit and it's like, "Oh, I liked Phantom Menace. I actually really liked the government conspiracy, and I really liked the romance of
Mhm.
Anakin and Padme because I could really see you know, the underlying implications of it." And everyone just they're like, "Oh, you're stupid. Empire Strikes Back is the best movie ever. All the other ones suck. You're stupid for liking them." But it's like
Yeah,
I would say Star Wars is the one weird outlier. Like I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I love all the movies, but you know,
as
I
far
again, yeah,
but yeah, as far as Star Wars goes, I mean, that's the thing. It goes back to with everything else. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. But I wouldn't say that I hate. I honestly don't hate any of them. I dislike what some of them do to the one
yeah.
that and that's weird because I like the reason, like you mentioned, like Fallout's your like what you're really passionate about, and what I meant by like, I mean, obviously I love other franchises. I love The Witcher. I love The Elder Scrolls. I like big franchises that mean a lot to me. But the reason I feel like Halo and why I say it has had the most impact on me was because it literally altered who I am as a gamer. Like it hit me at that perfect age. I was 9 years old when I played in 2001 when I played Halo Combat Evolved for the first time, and it literally changed my outlook, like how I looked at games as
Oh, I totally get it. I
and
with Fallout, I was the same way. Like Fallout 3 hit me at such the perfect age, similar like, just like Halo did, but it hit me at a certain age and it changed my view on games. So like any other RPG, and I still do it to this day subconsciously without realizing it. But every RPG that I play, every open world RPG, I immediately compare it to Fallout. I'm
right.
like, well, they don't have base building, or man, you can't pick that up, you can't move that. Like that's stupid. You can do that in Fallout. Oh man, you can't make that decision. Like I would make that decision in Fallout in a heartbeat, but I have to go this direction. That's ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I'm so critical of other games because of the impact that Fallout had on me. And it's a weird subconscious thing. But
Yeah, I get you completely, man. I think about Halo, it like very similar to like how you're talking about Fallout, because I mean, I this happened and I feel like it's the carrot that I'm always chasing with games because I feel like that feeling, and I'm actually I think I might have barely mentioned this a little bit in like a brief conversation with you and Matthew the other day, but I want to make a video called the Halo Effect, and it's really
mm,
that feeling as a gamer that I got the very first time I played Halo. And it's not necessarily exclusively
I
to
get
Halo.
that.
It's just Halo was the first time it ever happened to me. And it's one like those moments you have as a gamer that you're, and it's one of the reasons why I feel like we play video games. It's that carrot that we're chasing, that feeling of I can't believe this is technically possible. That
Yeah.
moment you step out of the crashed
Like
escape
that's why
pod
you
in
come
Halo.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that moment, the first time you stepped out of that crash escape pod on the second mission on Halo, I could not believe as a 9-year-old that that was technically possible. Going home and playing shooters like GoldenEye, were corridor shooters, and then which is actually the first mission of Halo, the Pillar of Autumn is a corridor shooter, similar to what we were used to at the time. But
Yeah.
then the second mission, it just opens up into this free roaming environment. It gives you a warthog and split screen. Your friend can ride in the back, or you can be on the gunner seat, and you can tackle objectives in any order you see fit.
Or Silent Cartographer, where you're flying in
Another
on
great,
pelicans
yeah.
and the
You
entire
play that mission
level.
backwards if you want.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. That's what I love about those. That's what I love about that. I like the idea of that video, the halo effect,
Mhm.
because everyone has their own, and it applies to any game. Like
Yeah.
everyone has that one game that made such an impact and made such a had such a feeling that they got such a crazy adrenaline rush, and that's what brings them back because they want to get that feeling again. So they're chasing that feeling,
Oh, yeah.
and I
And
mean,
I think I've
it's like
maybe
hitting, like you said, like hitting the site, like landing on the site, silent cartographer, getting out of the vault 101 for the very first time in
Yep.
Fallout 3, watching you. I mean, even a little more recent than that, watching the siege of no, was it the siege of Shanghai, where the giant building in
Oh, yeah.
Battlefield 4 like crumbles in front
Yeah.
of you, like this giant building that you played on, this super, like nothing like that was ever done before, nothing destructible was like that before, but you could take down an entire skyscraper in a game and continue playing. Like
Yeah.
moments like that are such crazy impacts for people in gaming, and you're just whatever, whatever impacts you the most, you're just going to continue to chase that feeling over and over and over again. And I think
Yeah.
that's the perfect explanation for the halo effect. And I
Yeah.
love the idea
I
of that video.
Yeah, it's something that it's really important to me, and I feel like it's gonna take me a while to make because it's one of those things that I feel like I need to get everything out. I need to
Yeah.
cover all of my bases with it, so it's probably gonna take me a while to actually finish that. But my with that pure feeling of what I'm kind of going into with the Halo effect, I feel like I've only had a few times, like, and
Yeah.
I'm talking like the Halo Combat Evolved was huge for me. I was a PlayStation fan. Nothing could break me away from I had a PlayStation 1 and I was getting in PlayStation 2. And then I was like, I played Halo and I was like, I need an Xbox. And I've been on Xbox ever since. And I think about the other games that have given me that feeling. The first time I ever played Elder Scrolls Oblivion,
Oh
being able to
yeah.
look anywhere and being like, I can get there, and like Oblivion was huge for me. And the most recent, which gave me a pretty good like feeling of that, and it blew me away, was the first time I played Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh
That was a
god. That was probably the most recent for me
Yeah,
too.
I mean, and
That
before that,
feeling.
I mean, I don't even know. I feel like it'll happen to me probably once per console generation.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's like so I guess it would have been Halo Combat Evolved, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion,
I think the
and
older
then
we get,
Red Dead
it'll
Redemption
be
2.
I
Just on
think
a
the older we
technical
get,
level.
we'll kind of will be, one the older we get, we'll have that feeling once a generation.
Right.
I think once we're in that prime age, like through the 360 era, like every single game was doing something spectacular,
Yeah.
just
I mean, yeah,
and
I mean, I loved other games. I mean, like I said, The Witcher 3, for example, one of my, if not one of my, man, might be
we
one of my favorite. It definitely is one of my favorite games of all time. But on a technical level, it's not. I mean, it's really technically great. I mean, like what that game does. I mean, the fact that you can go from like the bustling streets of Novigrad in the huge city to out in the middle of a forest fighting wraiths and ghouls in the middle of the woods, miles away with zero loading screens.
going to a giant man, like castle on a mountain in Kaer Morhen,
Oh yeah.
like that. Oh man, the
Granted,
first
you
time I
do have
went
to
there,
load when you go into Kaer Morhen, but the whole Velen and Novigrad is such a huge. It's like the size
yeah,
of Skyrim alone, and you can go from like a shop in Novigrad and like inside shopping into the forest miles away and with zero loading screens. And that's a technical marvel to me, but really what that game does for me is just the world building and the storytelling. I love The Witcher 3, but something about how Red Dead Redemption performed, something about the like how it just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper and
yeah.
deeper, and it's like, wow,
The
I
game
wow,
that is for me, until I'm going to be super critical of open world games now because of Red Dead Redemption 2,
let's
because not
hopefully,
only not only is that game big and vast, but there's intricate detail
yeah,
everywhere. Like I can literally go into that game right now. I just did it last night and go, like, just to go online or just go into single player mode, and I'll just go to a bar and just order a drink and sit there and I'll watch the people just come in and out, play poker and dance and sing and talk, and I'll walk around and pet a dog, and it's like I don't and it's like I don't feel like I didn't do anything in the game. It's like, man, I had a pretty good night. I just kind of chilled in Valentine and just you know
One of
just
my favorite moments that I remember from Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't a story. I mean, the story is phenomenal. It's like my favorite Western is Red Dead Redemption 2 story, and with
yeah,
Red Dead Redemption
easily.
1, I love it. But one of my favorite moments, it was just a small moment. I got into some trouble in town, and I think it was in Valentine, and I immediately was being chased by the law. I rode up into the mountains, up into the Grizzlies, and I got way up into the mountains, dude. And like it's just like super thick snow, and like I'm hunting and stuff. And I'm like, I've been up here for about a couple days, and I pitched my tent up there, which I love that I could literally set up my own camp and come and go as I please. The campfire was melting the snow around my camp, and I was just up there. And then I remember I was just in first person laying in my tent, and I heard what sounded like a distant horse like whinnying. And I come out
Hmm.
of my tent. I'm like, there shouldn't be any other horses up here. And I was like, who's up here with me? I figured like there's gonna be other pedestrians. And I look, and it's a group of bounty hunters down at the bottom of the mountain, and they're just trudging through the snow on their horses. And then as they got closer and closer, they get off their horses and they just pull their rifles off their saddlebags, and they just start looking. They're just looking for me, and I was like, bounty hunters are hunting me up here in the snow. And I had the high ground, and so as they came up, I just gunned them down in the snow, and like blood all over the snow. Just something about that moment of laying in the tent and hearing the bounty hunters' horses. I was so immersed.
There
And
was my favorite moment, that the moment that kind of stuck with me the most, and this was before I realized that there were multiple like progressive event kind of story, like mini stories that you could have throughout the game as you progress through the chapters. But one of my favorite one, like the thing that I think about every single time when I think of the story, is this small house that's being built on the outside of Valentine, and
yeah,
you're coming up through it, and it's his father and two sons, and you kind of
yeah,
you would completely miss it because it just looks like a normal NPC. Oh, they're air quotes building a house, you know, but unless you actually go up to them, like if you get close enough, they're like, "Hey, Mister," or "How's it going?" And you kind of stop and look at them, and you kind of go forward. And if you give them like the polite, retaliation, you're like, "Hey, morning, Mister," and you'll sit there and actually talk to him. It doesn't go to a cutscene or anything. You'll just go there and talk to him, and he'll be like, "Yeah, we're trying to build this house, and you know, I I know I'd be putting you on your way, but do you think you could loan me some money for some wood for the wood, and we can put this together and this and that?" And you give it, and if you give it to them, you just give it to them. Okay, well, see you later. And you keep coming back periodically. They have more of the house built, and
I
they're like
love
working on different parts of it. And then eventually you come back, and the house is done,
that's
and
so great.
they're standing outside of it, and you walk up and you're like, "Hey, how's it going? Hey, I really appreciate you for for helping us out. Here's the money you gave us plus extra for for selling the house. We really appreciate your help." And it's like, holy crap. Like this random NPC thing that I thought was just some random NPC event was
And
this
actual like
actual
mini side
this
story.
natural
Yeah,
progression of time, and
yeah,
they actually built the house. And
yeah,
I remember sitting there. It was like at the end of chapter 3, I think, or no, chapter 4 or whatever. Whenever you finally get back from Guarma,
yeah,
and I started heading back to Valentine, and that's when I got paid, and I sat there and I'm like, holy crap! Like this house is built because of me.
yeah.
Like
That's
he
I
got the
love it.
money for equipment because it was me. Like what would happen if I didn't come up to him? So
Yeah, and that Red Dead Redemption for sure just is another one of those games like similar to the Halo that has the Halo effect where it's just that wow factor of I can't
yeah,
believe this is technically
the
possible.
one
Someone
thing
thought of
that
this and made this,
the
and
one thing that makes an impact on you and makes you think, wow, like I didn't know this is possible in a game. This
yeah,
shouldn't be possible.
yep.
But speaking of impossible feats, Alex, and Halo, you know you recently had a very impossible feat, something new that you discovered in a game that we've played over and over and over again for years.
Picked up Halo 3 in 2007 at the midnight launch, dude. And I was actually next to your mom when I don't know if she was actually there, but maybe she called Dee Dee. I don't remember which, but we decided to pre-order your copy too, and I think it was going to be for Christmas or your birthday.
Mom called Dee Dee.
That's right. And Dee Dee was next to me in line because she was pretending to be my mom.
Because I remember you joke like
Yeah,
you said something like Zach was like, "Why are we going back? Well, let's go home. I want to play this." And like, no, we got to get a copy for Jake.
Oh man, dude, when they handed us our copies of Halo 3 that night at midnight, because me and Zach were first in line. Literally, we showed up at that GameStop at 4 p.m. and we waited until midnight to get Halo 3. The most hyped I've ever been for any game in my entire life. It felt like it took 10 goddamn years for Halo 3 to come out, and that night was electric. And
Is it weird to think that we're never going to get?
I was for Halo 3 to release.
Is it weird to think that we're never going to get midnight releases anymore?
Yeah, dude. I'm actually like, I know GameStop, what they were doing is they were doing closing releases where it's like, hey, we close at 9, be here at 8:45. We'll give you our game before we lock the doors. So I'm kind of hoping that for Halo Infinite, we can all get together and go and pre-order it at that same GameStop and pick it up at close, because that would be cool as shit.
Dude, but I would buy 2 copies just to get a hard copy. Sorry, I didn't go ahead. I didn't.
Yeah. It's like, no, you complete joke. I want you to be there because it'll be fun. But I was like, no, you can't go. Dee Dee's got to get your copy for your birthday. But yeah. Anyway, so last night. So anyway, I've been playing Halo 3 for 13 years. I love Halo 3. It's one of my favorite games in the entire series. I've played it a lot. I feel like I know every in and out of that game. But last night, and we basically got an update for MCC that gives us jetpacks, and so you can fly around in the Halo 3 missions. And I decided to see if maybe I can save Sergeant Johnson at the end of that mission. Maybe there's something I can do. And I doubt it. Like, I was like, maybe I can like F with the game essentially and like do something different. Like, there's a few times where he's just out of reach, and what if I could get to him? And I can get to him, and it's actually pretty funny. And I'm working on a video right now that just goes into more detail of how I'm trying to save Sergeant Johnson and Halo through a completely different light. So I was recording that video, and at the very end of the mission, right before it ends, you're pinned down by a couple Covenant Phantoms, and a Pelican shows up and just kills them with missiles. And I decided to ride on top of the Pelican as it killed the Phantoms. Like, yeah, I'm riding the Pelican. But for some reason, I don't know why, I never realized that I guess the Pelican will shoot missiles at the Covenant on the ground as well. And I guess the Arbiter was in the middle of a sword fight with the Covenant and got blown to hell. It sent him flying. I recorded the whole thing. And I'm like, you son of a bitch, you killed my friend. So I jump onto the cockpit with my gravity hammer and start pounding it with my gravity hammer. And then I just, for whatever reason, I threw a plasma grenade. It stuck to the cockpit and killed the pilot. Okay, now 2 things. I did not know that there was actually a pilot inside the Pelican. I thought it was just the Pelican was on a track and it did what it did. But no, there's a pilot flying the damn thing. And if you kill him, you killed the Pelican. You literally killed its brain. So I'm riding on top of this Pelican, and it just starts spinning in the air and crashes through the map, gone. My brain exploded on camera. Like, my mind was so blown. I could not believe what I just saw, that I was like, what have I done?
So let me get this straight. There's an actual, so in the Pelican, in the window that's 100% tinted that you cannot look into, they've made it to where there's an actual Marine sitting in there flying the Pelican. Not only that, but it's a Pelican. It's a Marine with a health bar.
Yes,
that you can take down.
Yes. In the video, when I blow him up, when I blow up the cockpit, you see his body go flying out the windshield. And then immediately the Pelican starts doing cartwheels in the air and crashes through the map. And one of the funniest parts of the whole thing, after I realized that I just broke the game, because the only way to end the mission is to board that Pelican. So all of the infantry, me, Sergeant Johnson, and Arbiter are standing there at the end because Arbiter respawned, and they're just looking at me like, "What have you done?" And I'm just like, I don't know what to say. But
it's like we're living here now.
I think I ended the video. I was like, someone better call Crow's Nest and tell them to send another Pelican, because, and I actually ended the video. I was like, Johnson, that Pelican went nuts and killed the Arbiter. It would have killed you too. So technically, I saved you.
Dude, I just realized that made me realize something.
What's up?
Because the Marine was controlling the Pelican, right?
Yes.
And as soon as you killed him, the Pelican just dive bombed.
Yes.
That means you can control. If you can get close enough to the cockpit, that means you can control the Pelican.
Dude,
that's what that means. Because it's a drivable vehicle.
It's
like they do the same. Okay, so it's like a weird like a dev trick. Like that's so like for instance for Fallout, when they would have vehicles, like to air quotes vehicles in Fallout, they didn't have actual vehicle mechanics. So what they did is that they created a vehicle like armor piece that the player, like the NPC player, would wear on their head. Right. And they would just increase the speed of the NPC player and have them on a track. So it may look like a vehicle, but it's actually a headdress. And you can get into the files and wear that headdress. So you can wear theoretically you could wear a train. I guarantee it's the same idea. Like in order for and the way that their engine is made, vehicles have to be driven by something.
In this case,
so they created.
If you open that file, in theory, you should be able to fly it. That's
exactly. They created vehicle physics for the Pelican because they needed something to drive it.
That's crazy. Because I always thought for years that it was on a track, but no, it has a brain, and that brain is actually an AI Marine flying it. So yeah, guys, get on Halo 3. Try to kill some Pelicans because it can be done.
Oh, dude, I wonder if someone will get into the files. Because I mean, the game just came out on PC.
Just open that up,
but make it to where you can get close enough to that Pelican to actually drive it,
dude.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Why else would they have an empty NPC, like a live NPC, driving that?
I've been thinking about that all night. I was like, I can't believe that that's the way those things work. And if somebody does get the modding tools and they open that file up, then we'll be back for another episode.
I am looking forward to that episode, man. Well, Alex, anything you want to add before we finish up here?
I guess if you want to see actual proof of this Pelican killing crazy thing, check out the YouTube channel Live from My Basement. We have a lot of fun over there. I'm actually editing that video as we speak, and I'll have it up tonight. So it'll probably be up by the time you guys are hearing this on YouTube and iTunes. So check it out. I ain't lying.
Awesome, guys. Well, that's it for episode 8. Like he said, if you want to check out his channel, check out the moment where he became a traitor to the UNSC. That is youtube.com/live from my basement. We together, we upload. I upload the podcast on iTunes and YouTube. Just search itunes.com/pixelbeast or youtube.com/pixelbeast. Podcast usually goes up the Sunday after we record. And then the following Monday, the YouTube video comes out. So be ready for that. Well, thank you for taking up an hour of your time again. I always appreciate it. And I'm so glad you finally. I've been wanting to ask you about the story of this Pelican, and I've been holding off because I wanted to hear it the first time on the podcast. So that's awesome. All right. Well, until next time. See ya.
Bye-bye.